Hi everyone, this is the Canny Couple. I'm Juliet and this is Erin. And today we want to talk to you about homesteading with full-time jobs. And before we get started, we would really appreciate it if you would hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. So, homesteading alone can feel like a full-time job.
Yes, and working while homesteading can feel like two full-time jobs, maybe
It
even
is.
more.
It is. Building side hustles on top of that and everything. The ultimate goal with homesteading is that your homestead's producing food, income for you.
Yeah.
That's the main goal. That's the ultimate goal everybody dreams about is that their homestead is actually providing their income for them.
Or self-sufficiency.
Or self sufficiency, which is both. If you can live off your homestead primarily, then
You don't need as much money.
you don't need as much money. But when you work full time, which is rare in our community, you don't see this often.
Especially both people.
Both people. A lot of people that you see, they, are able to stay at their homestead or they're doing side hustles, they have more flexible work hours. You don't see people like Erin and I who work outside the home for outside companies doing the full-time work and doing the homestead and trying to build the side hustles, all of it, trying to do all the things, be good parents, be good partners and everything. And while we have failed at this, we have also, really worked really hard to do the things that we need to do to try to get our homestead where we want it. Now we are still a work in production, a work in progress.
Yeah. I mean, we still have a long ways to go, but we're going to talk about 5 of our tips that have, got us to where we are and going to take us into the future.
And this is very broad. And if you want us to go into detail about how we actually do the things that we do and go through each and every single one of these tips and how we made these determinations or the tips and tricks that we use in our household to get the jobs done that need to be done, let us know. We'll create a series off of it and we'll tell you how we do it.
Put that down below in the comments or, send us an email.
Okay, so number 1 is when we first started homesteading, we really determined the type of homestead we wanted. And I don't think this is something we really talked about.
No.
So the type of homestead we wanted one that continuously produced food for us. Not necessarily protein. That was not where our focus was at that time.
It was just food.
Just food. So we spent a lot of time building perennial systems. And while they're not perfect, and we've had a lot of failures, it's not been perfect the entire time.
No.
And we made a lot of mistakes. We are still focused on building perennial systems.
Just because from the simplicity of them and the ability to, for some of them like fruit trees, an example, to be able to
berry bushes,
be able to rely on those, for 10 to 50 years.
Yes, depending on the tree. We have apple trees that are what?
About 40 years old.
About 40 years old, still producing, still great apples. I got 29 jars this year.
Yep. And
we didn't even try. We didn't even try. Next year we'll have 3-4 times as much probably because we want to try to get more applesauce, apple butter, things like that home canned for us. But the goal is we're going to have apricots, pears, peaches, we have gooseberries, blueberries, strawberries. All of these systems work together to produce quite a bit of food. Now, is it all the food that we need? No.
No.
But it's food. And the goal is that we'll eventually hopefully get to sell some of this.
Right. Be able to produce enough to sell some of it, especially like blackberries. We didn't even mention we've really invested into, not invested,
you invested
time and energy into trying to build that system out.
Absolutely. And this leads us into tip number 2 that we do. Automations.
Yes.
Erin, this is his thing.
We try to set up everything, from a time management and simplicity perspective to be able to automate as much as possible. So
set and forget.
Yes. So trying to, for example, blueberries, plant them, put a little acid around them the first year, and then after that, sort of hands-off approach is a good example on those.
Even in our gardening, we don't do a lot of pruning or anything like that with our peppers, our tomatoes. We really just let the plants do what they're supposed to do. Now, a lot of people would disagree with us.
And we might even disagree with ourselves, but from a time management perspective, that's what we have to do right now.
We don't have the time for me to go and
Right.
prune the 60, 70 plants, but my plants still produce very well. I had enough tomatoes. I had at least 30 quarts. I've not done the final count yet, but I've had at least 30 quarts of tomatoes, and we're still getting a few out of the garden, and we're almost at our first frost date. So I feel like it's pretty good. Now, we will do set and forget up to a certain point. If it's a really hard system to put in, and then a really hard system to take out, we're not doing it.
No.
Drip irrigation.
Drip irrigation is one that doesn't work for our time that we have available. So we do like a sprinkler system type.
If we do it at all.
Yeah, like this year we didn't even have to set it up because we had such a rainy spring and summer.
So we didn't even have to worry with it. So it worked really well for us. But yeah, we like set and forget, hands-off approach to just about anything. But we do know we have to maintain. And with all the trees we have, it is a job in itself.
Yeah.
The next thing is we slowed down.
We did go extremely fast to begin with, like too fast, which caused some mistakes.
Yes, and they're kind of long term.
Those was from a zone perspective. We didn't know about permaculture and zones to begin with. And then when we learned, we were like, we just put trees everywhere.
Everywhere. And it's okay. We have been blessed because some of these areas have not worked out.
Yes.
And we're taking those areas and making them more functional for us long term.
Yep.
You've heard us talk about the lily pad on our podcast. That's coming up hopefully in the next year, where we'll have ducks, and it's a great place for them. A wonderful place. It's a good kind of flattish area.
Yeah, there's nothing really truly flat here.
No. And it's going to work really well. But we did bite ourselves in the foot. But slowing down and focusing on what we do have has really given us the ability to actually look at our property, to really look at and decide what we want long term and what we want 50 years from now, and how we make this work with the fact that we're getting older.
Yep.
We're getting older, and we need to be able to maintain it.
Yeah, we do look at that from that type of perspective as well. Like, okay, this has got to be, zone 1 or 2. It can't be anything past that.
And we also have to look at the fact that it's just me and Aaron.
Yep.
We do have a little one, but, 20, 30 years, she's probably not going to want to live this life. And we can't depend on that. So we do everything on what can we do?
Yeah.
How do we build this for us? Not with everything else going on. So for Aaron and I, it is not manageable for us to have a cow or pigs or a horse. This is so manageable for us. And it's also not what we want. We've really thought a lot about this.
Yeah, we went through every single animal to see what we actually need.
And what we want to deal with and how much we want to take on. And we have went back and forth, and we've really kind of settled that poultry is the better option for us.
Yeah.
It's what we eat, it's what we like, and it doesn't make sense for us to do anything else on a long-term basis. But that, again, that's something we're still working towards in our other future goals.
Which brings us into our biggest thing that helps us is time management and planning.
Yes.
So we have to get what we need to get done. We have to plan out our week and month.
We manage our day.
Yeah.
That's what we call it. I call it managing our day.
Yeah.
And a lot of people might not like that terminology, but it is what it is. We work set hours, and normally we work over those set hours, and we work. We do not get up from our desk to do things we're not supposed to do. We just push through and do the job.
So we look at from the day perspective. Okay, here's what we need to get done during that day. Whether it's morning, evening, even week. Sometimes we have extra tasks we put in. Okay, if we get through all this, we can need to focus on these for the rest of the week.
We look at it from a weather perspective. Is it going to rain? Is it going to do this? So we look at all of these things, take all these things into account, and manage our time from there. We split up our time. Does it make better sense for Aaron to do this task and me to do this task? If it's food processing, preserving, it's my task.
Yeah.
If it's going to go and dig the potatoes, it's Aaron's task.
Right.
And we kind of play off of each other's strengths and weaknesses here to really get the job done.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is we have a hard time with this. We do. We have a very hard time with this. Understanding that we can't do all the things at once. And we've had to learn.
This one bothers me probably more than anything because I want to get 50 things done in a week.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard. But we know, because we are almost at that point, that by push, especially if both people are working, because we are unique in the homesteading realm. Most of the time, in many cases, the mom is home or the dad is home and, taking care of the kids. A lot of our homeschooling, which is wonderful. But we both work, so it does change the dynamic and the amount of time we can devote to our homestead and also our side hustles. And it changes things a lot. So understanding that burnout is a real thing, that stress is a real thing, and that the ultimate goal of this homestead is to build the life you want for you and your family is like key here.
Yeah. And if you're losing that focus, you're going to lose your enjoyment of the homesteading. That's the ultimate goal. You want to bring, a self-sufficient, self-reliant lifestyle to you and your family, but at the same time, you can't sacrifice your family in place of it.
Absolutely not. You don't want to turn around and have been homesteading for 8 years and realize your child's 10 years old and you don't remember the last 8 years, because that can happen, especially if you're pushing, you're hustling, and you're doing all the things you need to do to get this homestead up and running. And instead of just going and building steps, blocks, building the good foundation, which we didn't build a great foundation because we made mistakes. We planted trees everywhere, but now we're fixing the foundation. We're doing some aftercare on the foundation and trying to get it where it needs to be, and building up that house so it's solid going forward. It really does help, and we would definitely tell you family is the main focus here.
Definitely.
Always.
Family number one priority.
Absolutely. It is so hard to not be able to step away when the little one needs us because we're focused on the homestead. So we definitely make sure that family time is a priority, and somebody is always there to give her the attention she needs when she wants it. And it's so important on the homestead because we're building this life not just for us but for her too.
Yeah. Now, if you all want to know, some more, like we said, more specifics, how we have actually done it, if you want to see that, future series wise or something, make sure to leave that down below in the comments.
We've had to really learn how to manage our time, manage our day, learn how to do automations that really work for us, and what we look for in automations as well. As like I said, we don't just pick any automation. We actually have to do a really harsh evaluation of each one, and even like evaluating what animals we want on the property, how we determine that, because it is important to know your bandwidth, and that's where I think a lot of people kind of get overwhelmed and burn out, and they don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, definitely. If you've got any comments or anything you want to send to us, send it over to thecannycouple@yahoo.com. Make sure to go over and check our link tree, which will have all of our other links to all of our other social media sites. And
as always, thank you for joining us on The Canny Couple, where we work hard, live simple, and enjoy life. Have a wonderful day.